Good morning, good morning. I hope everyone is having a fabulous morning so far on this Thursday morning. The weekend is approaching. We are starting here at Founders Lodge over in the Eastern Cape of South Africa. My name is Kerry Dupree and I'm always delighted to be with you here live at the waterhole. Lovely to start off the drive with some rhinos. Looks like we could have 3 rhinos that are seeking some shade underneath this very small acacia tree. Just a reminder, folks, that this is a live and interactive experience, so please feel free to send through those questions and comments. Always dying to hear from you. But I have my first question for our viewers for the day. I would love to know, I'm trying to compile a bit of an ID kit for some of the animals at the locations that have names. Yesterday we focused on the elephants and some of the named elephants at Oldonyo, for example. And today I'd love to hear from our viewers what the names of these rhinos are. I do apologize. I have a very bad memory. I think jellyfish also have terrible memories. So I have a terrible memory. I think we have had some viewers telling me the names of these rhinos before, but I made the cardinal mistake of not noting it down. So if any of our viewers would like to share with me the names of these rhinos, please, I would love to have your assistance. We have some comments from Banter Rat. Says, happy Thirsty Thursday. Indeed, Banter Rat, it is a thirsty Thursday. These rhinos don't look that thirsty, but they've probably just been having a bit of a drink already. Looks like we've also got a zebra in the distance there and some crows or ravens up in the tree just above the rhinos. Joanne Mello, thank you for joining us. Happy Thursday, Joanne says to Wild Earth and Kerry. Thank you for joining us today, Joanne. I'm just having a look at the weather. The weather's looking very ominous in Gauteng today, I must say. We did have some rainfall yesterday afternoon. Rather unimpressed. Oh, looks like we've got 4 rhinos actually. My goodness. There's quite a lot of rhinos around this little tree. See how difficult it is to follow how many rhinos are around sometimes when they all get together in a little bit of a rhino cuddle puddle. You can mistake in how many individuals are actually there. So these white rhinos do spend a lot of their days snoozing. They mostly occur in these lovely open grassland areas in the Eastern Cape. Is perfect habitat for these white rhinos. They are famously known to be a grassland species as opposed to their cousins, the black rhinos, that occur in very thick habitat, dense vegetation, and they're mostly browsers as opposed to the white rhinos, which are grazers. It's so interesting how different species adapt and evolve over many, many years in order to survive in their different habitats. Johanna sent through a comment saying, hi Kerry, I hope we find a lot of birds today. Yes, Johan, we are always on the lookout for some birds. Always excited to see what birds we can find out and about. Normally we have some little Cape wagtails here. So having a look at these birds, there could be some Cape ravens or Cape crows. Alrighty folks, let's go out and see what else we can find out there today at some of our other locations at Oxbow. So sorry folks, we have linked across here to the basin here in Cylinder Reserve. My goodness, what birds are these? So we've got some, it looks like puku. Puku are a very much water dependent species occurring in Botswana, especially in the regions where you get the Okavango Delta or any marshy areas. And I am not too sure what these birds are. My gosh, so if we've got any specialists that are up to scratch on your Botswana birds, I would love to hear from you what birds these are. I want to say they look like they could be plovers of some sort, but I am not too sure. Anyways, while we wait for an ID on these birds, let's have a look. It's lovely to see. It looks like 3 female puku. So puku males have very impressive long horns, whereas the females are hornless and normally occur in very small family groups. We've got a question here from Mercedes Bean. It's saying, greetings Wild Earth crew and chatters, happy Thirsty Thursday. It is indeed. Thank you for joining us, Mercedes Bean. We've also got so we've got just some comments coming through about these lechwe. I think lechwe and puku, or it's just maybe a different common name. So it is a red lechwe. I think puku is actually in Zambia. Sorry, that's my mistake there. I remember, so there's actually one puku that has crossed into the Zambezi National Park from Zambia. So I think your puku is more occurring in Zambia. These are your red lechwe. But yeah, it's amazing how when these water levels drop, you do get these different species that can move from one area to the next. So shame, there's this poor puku that is in Zambezi National Park on the Zimbabwean side of the river. And because he's the only one, she has joined up with a herd of impala. So if you're ever driving around in Victoria Falls in Zambezi National Park and you see a very strange looking antelope mingled amongst some impala, it is a puku that crossed during the dry season from Zambia. But yeah, these are 3 female red lechwe. I think we saw some male red lechwe the other day fighting. It's lovely to see a new species. You don't see new species very often. But these birds are really confusing me. I'm really not too sure what they are, but there is quite a lot of them. This is a migratory time for a lot of birds to migrate and come through in certain regions, especially with the rains. As soon as the rainfall arrives, that's when all your migratory birds arrive. So it could be some sort of migratory bird of some sort. We've got a question here from Jabu. Jabu's asking, will a radioactive horn really help with poaching numbers? Jabu, very good question. And I think it depends on the idea behind a radioactive horn. I know some projects do use them. It is quite a new method. So I'll give you a bit of a breakdown of why this radioactive horn might help. So some projects use low doses, so non-toxic radioactive isotopes in living rhino horns, so that the horns become detectable by standard radiation detectors used at airports, border posts, any kind of checkpoints. So in control testing it can possibly help, but you just don't want to affect the animal in any way. So for me, as long as it doesn't negatively affect the animal in any way. Looks like these red lechwe females are having quite a nice relaxed day. So again, they're also grazers. They prefer to graze on very short grasses, especially near these water areas. We've got a question from Richard. Richard is asking, is a lechwe related to the waterbuck? So Richard, yes. Distantly, a lechwe is related to a waterbuck. Scientific name of our lechwe is Cobus leche. And I think that's why a lot of the guides in Botswana call lechwe lychees. I was quite confused the first time I went to the Delta, and our guide kept referring to the red lechwe as lychees. I'm thinking, I don't think it's quite right, but yeah, so they are related. Both belong to the genus Cobus, so Cobus ellipsiprymnus is the waterbuck. Alrighty folks, let's head across to Old Donyo and see if there is any large creatures waiting for us. here. We have some big elephant bulls that have come to join us at the waterhole. It also looks like we've got a giraffe in the distance on the right, hiding in the shade of an acacia tree, and there's also some other antelope just off to the right here as well. I was just wondering what birds these were. Johan, thanks for your comment. Johan said it could be some pratincoles. We were just looking at some mystery birds in Botswana, and it looked to me a cross between either pratincole or a plover. I was guessing plovers of some sort, but it could be either your collared pratincole or rock pratincoles. I don't think it's a black-winged pratincole because they are quite rare within those areas, although most of these pratincole species do occur in floodplains. So thank you very much, Johan, for your comment on our pratincoles. We'll probably guess it's one of the pratincoles. I would say maybe the collared pratincole. Got a quick comment from Spas in Cov. Thanks for your comment, Spas. Says, hi Kerry, fingers crossed on birding. I just love the Cape wagtails at Mantis at Founders Lodge. Apparently you once saw a raven. So yes, there were 2 ravens. Looked like there were 2 Cape ravens up in the tree just above the rhinos there. We do see them from time to time, but there's always at least 1 or 2 pairs of little Cape wagtails bobbing around. Egyptian geese can also be seen there at Founders Lodge, and looks like it's an eland. I wonder where the rest of the herd is. It's got another comment coming through here. Bush B says, I think those birds are plovers, could be Caspian plovers. Botswana is one of the main watering sites for these species, with birds typically arriving in mid-August and departing in mid-April. So thank you very much, Mr. Bush B. I will have a look into the Caspian plovers, but if I'm not mistaken, Caspian plovers are a little bit smaller. And if you have a look at the body structure of those birds we saw, they definitely looked quite similar to the body structure of a pratincole, very long. I think I also saw some markings on the head, but it's always great to have these debates and see what different options we have. But definitely those Caspian plovers are quite cute little birds, and I don't know if they travel in such big flocks like we saw the pratincoles. Wow. So we've got another comment about our mystery birds from Botswana. Limberi has commented, who's one of our zoomies, about the red lechwe, and thinks the bird is a pratincole. So I do agree with that. I do definitely think it's just this, the body position, or the way that some certain birds hold themselves, like raptors, birds of prey, normally sit quite upright, and then you get plovers and other pratincole species that are more like hunched over. You can also look at their behavior. How are the birds behaving? How are they moving? That can also give a very good indication to what species you might be looking at. I know those pratincoles, especially the rock pratincoles, they do nest along the Zambezi River in rocks. It's amazing how they hide their little nests. It's a ground nesting bird, and they'll nest in little rocky crevices or little rocky islands along the Zambezi River, also into Chobe. Have to be quite careful not to nest in rocks that might be flooded with all the rains that we have been having. So lovely to watch these elephant bulls. Trying to see this big bull on the far side, if it's any of our individuals we've been looking at and wondering if they've got names. He looks like quite a big boy. Just trying to wait to see his tusks. Often the tusk formation of certain elephants can definitely give you an idea on who they might be. Each elephant does have quite an interesting tusk formation. Some have missing tusks, notches or grooves in their tusks. So Tracy's asking, why do elephants chase other animals away from a watering hole? So Tracy, elephants can be bullies. they do chase most animals away from a watering hole, and that's to protect their water source. So they're very protective over their water source. Breeding herds will chase other animals away in order to also protect their calves. Because elephants are such large creatures, they do like to assert their dominance, show the rest of the animal kingdom that they are the big giants that they are the top of the animal kingdom. They're just big bullies, I would say. But yeah, competition for resources also probably a very good explanation for why elephants they're not very patient, I would say. I don't think elephants are patient. If they get to a waterhole, they like to drink first. So that's why, especially in drought seasons or times of low rainfall, you can see lots of elephants will be quite aggressive at the waterholes, even chasing other elephants away. Alrighty folks, why don't we head across to Wangi over in Zimbabwe, see what's waiting for us at another waterhole. Ooh, looks like we've got some wildebeest that are standing in the shade here at Wangi Safari Lodge. It looks like quite a hot day in Wangi, I must say. It does build up for quite hot weather during the rainy season. I mean, yeah, the temperatures do cool down quite drastically from the summer months, but it does get quite hot during the day when it's not raining. So got some comments from Trixie Rose. Thank you for comment. Trixie says, hi there, super earthlings. Kerry, could there be terns? That is a good question. Thanks for your comment. A tern you would expect to see in Botswana, I would guess, is your whiskered tern, but they are not so grey. Those pratten coals were quite grey in colour. Your whiskered tern, I think, is a lot more white in colour, but it is a good guess. And normally when I have seen whiskered terns inland, for example, in Botswana, Zimbabwe, South Africa, they're normally only in pairs, or maybe you might see two pairs together, but generally your whiskered terns don't occur in such large flocks like that. Oh, look, we've got a tiny little baby wildebeest just off to the right. Isn't this cute? These are your blue wildebeest. You can see lots of juveniles here. They've got the lighter coloured fluff on their forehead. As they mature and become older, that fluffy patch will then become darker and more prominent. I do love it when it is a hot day out in the African bush and you see all the animals kind of fighting for every little piece of shade, especially in the dry season. Just trying to get out of that very hot African sun. Mr. Elemental says, good day, Kerry and crew from Albany, Australia. Mr. Elemental, thank you for joining us again. I think Mr. Elemental's been with us every day this week, so it's great to have some repeat viewers joining us every day. I hope your weather in Australia is improving and you're not struggling in the heat waves or in the very cold weather. I believe Australia's got quite erratic weather at the moment, depending on if you're in the north or the south. Shame, I know we've had lots of rain and even hail, very, very big hailstones this year. Shame in Limpopo area, I know the farmers are really struggling with some of their crops. There was a watermelon farmer that lost his entire crop with these giant hailstones that were falling yesterday. I'd say they're like your medium-sized marbles. I don't know if you remember when you were a kid and used to play with marbles, but yeah, you get those medium-sized marbles or just a little bit smaller than a golf ball, I would say. Hailstones. So wow, lots of rain this year. So George is asking a good question. George is asking, why don't we see more black wildebeest around? And George, the answer to that is the reason we don't see more black wildebeest is because of habitat. So your blue wildebeest and your black wildebeest occur in very different habitats. So you'd more likely find black wildebeest in probably like Founders Lodge over in the Eastern Cape. I know you get black wildebeest in the Drakensberg area, so black wildebeest are quite restricted to their habitat and they need to have mostly open grasslands, whereas your blue wildebeest occur in open savannas but also in very thick African bush, so shrubby areas too. So that's why you get the black wildebeest. And then of course over in the Masai Mara you get the eastern bearded gnu, which I love that white long beard of theirs. Their name really does give away their features. So we've got a question from Sia50 is asking, Kerry, what is your favorite waterhole? Oof, that's a very difficult question. I struggle to I'm very indecisive, so I struggle to choose, but I do love Aldonio, but Lentore is a great one for birding as well. But there's some amazing waterholes out there. I do love the Safari Lodge waterholes, also a very special place, especially late afternoons, that sunset. You get a very dramatic skies, elephants coming down to the waterhole. Alrighty folks, why don't we head back across to Founders Lodge, see what our rhinos are up to.
Join me at Mabula Private Game Reserve from the 10th until the 15th of March 2026 for exclusive 5 nights for only 6 guests here in the natural, relaxed environment. Explore South Africa's finest reserve here in the Waterberg and enjoy the wildlife and the diverse landscape.
At Wild Earth, we believe every story has the power to create change. That's why we've launched the Wild Earth Impact Foundation, a non-profit dedicated to conservation and social impact. By showcasing conservation stories, we can change lives, protect nature, and empower communities. We have partnered with Empowers Africa to accept tax-deductible donations from US donors. Your donation will help fund critical programs that support our mission. Join us and be part of the change. Join our expert guides at dawn for a live, immersive safari as the bush comes to life.
Found ourselves a chameleon, and look how he's changed color.
Every sunrise brings new discoveries.
Pound for pound, a leopard is one of the strongest cats around.
Ask questions, share your thoughts, and connect with nature, live and in real time.
Great excitement, great happiness.
Start your day with adventure.
We've been having lots of torrential downpours here in South Africa. It's probably just messing with our signal and our feeds a bit, so we will just explore Jack's Dam for a bit while we wait for our feeds to get up and running. And in the meantime, alright, I think our feeds are stable, folks, so let's give it a bash. Let's head back across to Wangi Safari Lodge, see what's happening in Zimbabwe. All right, well, we've changed the location a bit here. You can see still Wangi Safari Lounge, but the wildebeest have moved across a bit, and seeing this place makes my heart super warm. This is an area that I've ridden on horseback quite a lot. We are allowed to ride in front of the safari lodge, but we kind of stick to the tree line so we don't disturb the guests at the main lodge. But yeah, I've done lots of horseback safaris in this area, so I know a lot of these incredibly beautiful camel thorn trees and these camel thorn tree forests. It's looking so special at the moment with all this green grass. I mean, just a month ago it was very dry, completely different. So it's amazing to see, just with a little bit of rainfall, how everything starts going lush and green. Got a question from Loves Wildlife. Says, good morning, beautiful African wildlife. Thank you for joining us, Loves Wildlife. We've got another question from Duncan. Duncan's asking, at what age do wildebeest calves stop nursing? So generally with the blue wildebeest, at about 4 to 6 months of age is when they will start to be weaned off from their parents. So they'll normally start grazing, so they kind of transition slowly into grazing before they become weaned. So at about 2 to 3 months, that's when they'll start eating a bit more grass, and by 3 to 4 months they'll be mostly dependent on grass, and the female will be less tolerant of these young ones suckling. And then by about 6 months, that's when they'll be fully weaned and mostly dependent on grass. So the timing of this weaning period can vary depending on food availability as well as environmental conditions. So for example, if the calves have dropped earlier and there's not enough grass, this weaning period might be delayed a tad. Jackson is asking, do horses not become afraid of the predators? So Jackson, the horses that we ride with for horseback safaris have generally been conditioned and trained very well to be used to animals. Yes, lions, lions are always a little bit of a surprise. Most of the horses that I've done horseback safaris on have been trained by really incredible horsemen and horsewomen with the companies that I work with, so they're very much used to wildlife. And for me, it's actually, I prefer viewing animals from horseback because it's very natural. There's no sound of an engine, less pollution, and of course I'm quite an adventurer, so I don't like to stick to the road. So I love that you can just go there and go into the bushes and explore everywhere. But yes, you do need to be quite careful of lions. Lions are probably the only predator that I'm very cautious of while on horseback. But for example, when we approach wildebeest on horseback and zebra, even giraffe, sometimes you get looked at, but in most cases all of these wild animals as soon as they hear the horses feeding, they kind of think you're one of them. So it's a very special way to go on safari. Got another question from Penelope Kenyon. Says, more rain here at the coast. I hope we're not going to have a wet Christmas. Penelope Kenyon, I would hope that maybe the rainfall is getting out of the way in the early months of December. Maybe by the time Christmas comes, it would have eased off a little bit. But yeah, it's just lots of rain and murky, dark weather around South Africa at the moment. Loves Wild says, apparently you visited this too many times. So I'm guessing you visited Zimbabwe a lot, Loves Wild. It is a very special country and my place of birth. I do love Zimbabwe. It is always going to be very close to my heart. Oh, just like this tiny little wildebeest. So interesting, I'm only seeing one small wildebeest. I mean, we are in December, 4th of December already. My goodness, can you believe this year is going so quickly? But I'm sure the other wildebeest calves should start dropping pretty soon. Or maybe they're in a little nursery somewhere else. Oh, I think I saw a little bee eater flying at the bottom of the screen here. Alrighty folks, let's head back across to Oldonyo in Kenya and see what's happening with our jumbos. Oops, so we can finally get a nice view of this big elephant bull at the back here. And I don't recognize him, but he's quite an impressive specimen. He's definitely not a hooky or wonky tusk or any of our other individuals that we have named at this waterhole, but he's quite an impressive specimen for an elephant bull. He's probably, a lot of these bulls, this big bull is probably in his mid-40s. You can kind of tell because of his dominance, his size, his tusk size. He does look like quite a mature individual. Right, so we have a question from Joyce Brown is asking a question about elephants. Just wondering, when the trees die or are destroyed by elephants, is there any conservation to replace them? It's a very good question, Joyce. Yes, elephants are known for pushing over trees, especially big elephant bulls or young bulls when they are trying to release some of that anger. It's like a therapy for those young elephants, form of anger management for young elephants. I feel like they just go and push down and destroy trees to get their anger out. But yes, there is some methods of protection, tree protection, because elephants are also famously known for ring barking trees. So there is a way to protect these trees from the elephants that have been ring barked, because once a tree has been ring barked at a certain percentage, that tree starts dying off and eventually will fall over. So a lot of the volunteer programs that I've been involved in Zimbabwe, we've done a lot of conservation work. So beginning of this year, I think I wrapped must have been about 30 to 40 trees. These were knobthorn trees that we were trying to protect from the elephants, and in some cases it might be too late, but in other cases it's a very effective way of protecting these trees from the elephants. So you wrap the trees with a mesh wire, which prevents the elephants from, because they use their tusks, so those long tusks of theirs, to try to loosen up a piece of the bark at the base of the tree, and then once they pick off a little piece, they normally rip, and then the entire bark or cambium layer, the fibrous cambium layer, then rips up to the top of the tree, which can end up killing the tree. So yeah, these are some methods that are used, wrapping trees as well as rocks. I've also done a lot of baobab tree protection. Elephants don't like walking on uneven surfaces if they are sharp, so what you do is, it is a big job though, quite a big job. You need to get, depending on the size of the trees, if they're big baobab trees, quite a big tractor load of rocks, and then you pack the rocks around the tree. So those are two very efficient methods of protecting trees from elephants and saving them from dying. Sanjeev Roy says horseback safaris is also available in Laikipia region of Kenya, if I'm not mistaken. So yes, Sanjeev Roy, I would say Kenya and Tanzania, probably Kenya, Tanzania, Zimbabwe, I don't know. It's going to be hard to vote, but I'd definitely say between Kenya, Tanzania are definitely the two top countries when it comes to horseback safaris in Africa, followed by, I think it will have to be the Delta, Botswana, Okavango, riding horses through those open floodplains. There's nothing quite like it. And then Zimbabwe and South Africa, I think, would come in at third and fourth. It would be interesting to know what our viewers think. I know we have some viewers that are horse riders, so it would be interesting if we could maybe do a poll. So I'd love to do a poll, and let's see what our viewers are going to vote. I mean, this is just on statistics that I've read up, but I'd love to hear from you. Which countries do you think is the top country in Africa for horseback safaris? I think we're going to do Kenya, Tanzania, Botswana, and I will throw Zimbabwe in there as well. So there's 4 countries, and I'd love to know from our viewers, which country do you think is the top country for horseback safaris? Botswana might actually win this one, because again, I know Tanzania and Kenya, you've got those open plains, and you go cantering through these open, or galloping through these open plains with giraffe and zebra. So the wildlife experience is amazing, but the Delta has that water, and for me it's just a very different element to riding through those thick swamps of the Delta, even possibly swimming with your horses. So we're going to get a poll up, and I'd love to hear from our viewers, which is your top destination that you think is the best destination for horseback safaris in Africa. So Loves Wild says it's an absolute magic to see wildlife on horseback, and yes, loves wilds. I do enjoy my horseback safaris. I did a lot more horseback safaris last year, to my detriment, unfortunately. Too many days chasing horses, runaway horses in the Gusu sand, kind of, left me with a couple of injuries. Horses are quite hardy, but so this year I haven't done as many horseback safaris, but hopefully I'll be getting a few horseback safaris in next year. Alrighty folks, why don't we go and do some birding and see what's happening over at Lintore. Ooh, what do we have here? So we've got some zebra over at Lintore. Always lovely to see what comes to this waterhole. I do feel like Lintore is more of a birding and baboon hotspot during the day, but at night, my goodness, the photography and the photos that people have gotten at night of leopard, serval, caracal, even owls and genets is incredible. So this waterhole, even though it doesn't look very busy during the day, it is a very hot spot at night. Alrighty folks, our zebra are moving off, so why don't we head across to Tembe back in South Africa. Oh wow, check at this guy. My goodness, so this has been a hotspot little location for the elephants the last couple of days. The elephants seem to really favor this little wallow or puddle. Must be perfect soil for them to wallow in for some reason. Who knows why? He's quite an impressive tusker. Got some more comments from Johan. Johan says, can I go on a horseback safari with you? It sounds awesome. Yes, Johan, you're welcome to find me on social media. I'd love to take you on a horseback safari. It's always, the best way to go game viewing, I feel. Leopard Lover says, I can't ride horses anymore. I was dragged by a horse. No, I got scared. So if you are also thinking of booking your next adventure for next year, please don't forget to head across to our Wild Earth Travel website. You could also book an incredible safari with one of your favorite naturalists. Here in the African bush, no better way to travel. Our elephant has decided to disappear. Alrighty folks, seeing as our elephant has disappeared, let's head back across to Old Tonyo. Got some more comments coming through. Trixie Rose is asking, does one have to be an accomplished equestrian to take horseback safaris? So Trixie, definitely most of the horseback safaris that I do in Africa, you need to be an experienced rider. And there's some of the horseback safaris I know, especially in like South Africa, you actually have to submit a riding video, so a video of yourself riding, so that the safari organization can see that you are a rider. Especially if you're riding with big game, you need to be able to stay on your horse. So if you're riding in areas where there's the big five, it is crucial that you are an experienced rider. And some of these horseback safaris, when you actually arrive, their first afternoon or first day is actually just a riding test. You actually have to do a riding test. And for myself, I've been riding horses since probably before I could walk. I think I remember my first fall off of a horse. I was probably about 5 or 6 years old, and my horse just took off and I was just left in the dirt down the driveway, and I don't even think anyone knew I was there. I just remember running home in absolute tears. But of course, the more times you fall off, the more you realize how painful it is, so you don't fall off. But yeah, I've been riding since I was very young, and I've been doing horseback safaris in big 5 game areas for probably going on 5 or 6 years now. So you do need to be quite experienced in this regard. Same as like your canoe safaris on the river with the hippos and the crocodiles. You do need a lot of experience to be proficient in being a horseback safari guide. We've got another question from Johan. Johan says, can you ID the bird sounds at Lentore, please? They are always weird calls. Okay, Johan, I will give a bit of a listen at Lentore. See if we can hear what birds are there. Alright folks, let's head across to Founders. I believe there's something very cute and small waiting for us. Oh my goodness, look what we have here. It's some baby sable and a blacksmith lapwing, and our rhinos are still here. So we saw the sable early in the week. I've been with you every day this week live at the waterhole, and we had some sable early in the week, which was my first time seeing sable at Mantis, and it's lovely to see these tiny little baby sable. How cute. So we've got some more comments coming in about horseback safaris from Joanne Milo, Alan and Trixie Rose, all agreeing that horseback safaris are incredible game viewing experience. Alan said they even went horseback riding in Laikipia with a company called Saddlebags Adventures. So yeah, I believe those Laikipia horseback safaris are also incredible opportunity for a great adventure. Drakensberg, Trixie says she went to the Drakensberg, also a very special place. So I've actually done horseback safaris in Drakensberg for about 2 years, where I also ran a volunteer program. We didn't have sable on our reserve in the Drakensberg, but lots of white rhino, so I definitely got my hours up with encountering white rhino on horseback. Sable are quite a skittish antelope. Most of the times we've encountered them on horseback, they're a little bit unsure. So sable and eland are normally quite skittish when they see the horses, but the rest of your plains game are very calm. I mean, zebra, impala, wildebeest, I think I've ridden through herds of zebra, impala and wildebeest, very calmly walking through, and they almost don't even do anything. And especially elephants. So if you are encountering elephant and they're a bit unsure of you, you just patiently wait. As soon as the elephant hears the sounds of the horses munching away, they just think it's another strange looking antelope. Oh, our rhinos are having a lovely mud bath this morning, and that rock looks like a perfect rubbing post. So this is the male sable antelope. Look at those impressive horns. Isn't he a handsome specimen? You can see the male is a lot darker, almost jet black compared to the female. So both male and female of this species do have horns, although the male's horns are a lot, they curve backwards a lot more. This male has quite short horns, I would say. Some males I've seen, their horns are so curvy that they almost touch their shoulder blades at the back. So very beautiful glossy coat that he has there, in contrast to his white underbelly. This is quite a cool shot here. Don't often see sable and white rhino in the same shot. So white rhino, being the thick-skinned mammal that they are, they do like a good mud bath, and then they will often come and rub themselves up on a rock or on a tree after they've bathed in order to exfoliate their skin, rub off any parasites, just like with warthogs and buffalo. So you can see there, that's a nice shot of the difference between a male sable and a female. So female on the left, have a look at her horns, much shorter, a bit lighter brown in color, and then the males are jet black. Got a question here from Jacob. Jacob is asking, are sable and goats related? So Jacob, yes, sable and goats are very distantly related, both sable antelope, so that's your Hippotragus niger, and the domestic goat species, Capra species, belong to the Bovidae family. So Bovidae family includes antelope, your buffalo, sheep, and goat. So within this family, you have your sable antelope are in the subfamily Hippotragus, while the domestic goat are in the family Caprinae. This means that they do share a very common ancient ancestor, although they are in different subfamilies. Ooh. Alrighty folks, let's head across to Camelthorne in Botswana and see what's happening at our first Botswana location for the day. Look what we have, an African fish eagle. Very cool to see an African fish eagle here at Camelthorne. I think there's a pair, so there's a nesting pair that does occur in this area. If we're lucky enough, we'll hear them calling. Seems a bit quiet today. He could be hunting, could be fishing, looking to see what he can find out there. Such beautiful birds. I do love that yellow. Have a look at that yellow color on this here. So I had a comment or question from one of our viewers asking if we could chat about some of the common raptor species that can be found on the Africam cameras. So of course, fish eagle comes in top of the list. I would say there's at least 3 or 4 locations on the Africam circuit where you can find the African fish eagle. Another common raptor that you might be able to see at some of our South African locations are Batalua. Martial eagles do come down quite often. Yesterday we had the African harrier at Oldonyo. That was pretty exciting, especially watching his facial skin transition from yellow to pink as he got a bit flustered because there was an elephant approaching. If we're lucky, we do also see Wahlberg's eagles, your brown snake eagles. We had a juvenile, I think it was a juvenile Verreaux's eagle we saw the other day at Safari Hook. We also get your Verreaux's eagle owls that come and frequent the waterholes at night, as well as your little barred owlets and pearl-spotted owlets. These are some of the birds you can see at night. Black-shouldered kite, I think, would be another bird, or raptor, medium-sized raptor, that you can also see at some of these waterholes. What is this fish eagle looking at? So Peter was commenting on our sable. Peter says that the sable is a fabulous looking antelope, and I will definitely agree with you, Peter. Sable are quite a majestic, proud looking antelope, I would say. The young males do resemble a female's coat color or pattern. It does take quite a few years, normally about 4 to 6 years, for the males to sexually mature and develop that jet black coat that he shows off very proudly, just like this African fish eagle. So fish eagles, as with most big birds of prey, do take quite a few years to also develop their full adult colors. I think fish eagles normally between 3 to 4 years. But I mean, you get larger birds of prey or larger raptors like your Batalua. Bataluas can take up to 5 years to develop their full adult colors, and in the interim they normally have very drab colors, normally just a drab brown. See, he's got a bit of a black tip to the end of his bill, and he uses those talons to feed. Alrighty folks, why don't we head back across to Lentore and see what birds are waiting for us. Ooh, looks like we've got some little red-billed waxbills, 2 males on the left and some females on the right. I'm dying to see another cutthroat finch. We had one sighting of a cutthroat finch this week, and we haven't seen any more flocks of our grey-headed silver birds. So there's some birds I'm desperate to see come back down to the waterhole. We had a question earlier about some of the bird sounds that we might hear here at Lentore. Some of the bird sounds I can remember is obviously you've got the white-browed sparrow weavers building their nests not too far from here, from this waterhole. Sometimes you can actually see the nest, so it could be white-browed sparrow weavers calling. And you also have an unusual sound of the bare-faced go-away bird that also might call. So we've got a question about the fish eagle. David is asking, always great to see a fish eagle. How do they differ from hawks? So generally the size and the build of the fish eagle differs from hawks, David. We've got your fish eagles are large, very heavy raptors with strong hooked beaks and talons. Ooh. Have a look, we've got our little ground squirrel that's also visiting, and looks like we've got a superb starling. Very pretty bird. So yeah, the hawks are generally smaller and more agile, built for speed and maneuverability through the forests and these open areas. So you'd probably find more hawks, for example, here in Lentore. I wouldn't expect to see an African fish eagle here, for example. Hawks also feed on smaller prey, so this little ground squirrel would make quite a nice snack for a little hawk. Or maybe your little hawk eagle or buzzard, or any of your smaller birds of prey like your goshawks. Perfect little meal. Hawks will feed on your squirrels, birds, reptiles and insects, whereas your African fish eagle mostly is a fish eater. They also will catch larger birds as well if they get a chance, but mostly they'll feed on fish. But I mean, the fish that fish eagles can catch, they can catch huge catfish. Lots happening here, lots of colour. Look at these little red-billed waxbills and our superb starling, very bright blue colours. Little Lentore is definitely a great place for birding. Such a good birding hotspot. So Bala is asking, what do squirrels eat? So Bala, these squirrels will forage on the ground. Of course, as in the cartoon, squirrels do love feeding on little nuts and seeds. So that does make up most of their diet, is a lot of nuts and seeds. That is what they will be searching for. They're also known for caching or stashing their food. So once they're fed on enough nuts, seeds and fruit, they will often store food in a little hidey hole, a little storage spot somewhere in a tree, like a nice little cavity or a hole in a tree. Perfect place for them to store some food for later. Yep. They'll often stand on their back legs like that to look out for predators. So he could also become prey to your serval or your caracal that are in this area. They will also feed on a little squirrel like this. So have a look. So he'll forage on the ground, find a little piece of fruit, and then he'll use his front feet in order to manipulate that fruit. Alrighty folks, why don't we head across to one of our other locations, see what's happening. Oh. Okay, before we go across to one of our other locations, let's see what our hammerkop is up to. I haven't seen the hammerkop here for a while, so it's always great to see this hammerkop. And we were chatting early in the week about when animals and birds see their reflection in a mirror. So especially territorial species, territorial birds, like your widers and your hornbills.
let's go and take a look. See you out there.
Join our expert guides at dawn for a live, immersive safari as the bush comes to life.
Found ourselves a chameleon, and look how he's changed color.
Every sunrise brings new discoveries.
Pound for pound, a leopard is one of the strongest cats around.
Ask questions, share your thoughts, and connect with nature live and in real time.
Great excitement, great happiness.
Start your day with adventure.
So it's slightly different to our grey go-away bird that we commonly know in southern Africa, but it still is a little bit similar. See these elephants, they're such they're such bullies. They bully the zebra, chasing them away from their watering spot. There are quite a few bulls here now. It looks like there's 6 elephant bulls here. Oh, look at that guy's tusks. So elephants during this time of year, it is very cool how with all the rains, it kind of gives them a nice little free cleaning service, and their tusks go very white. It's the same as like in Tembe Elephant Park, for example, when we see the elephants having a pool party. After those elephant bulls have submerged themselves in the water, they're very dark, their skin is very dark and clean, and their tusks are very light, very white in color, nice and clean. So Alan has sent through a comment. Alan says, forgot to say that Wild Earth is our new favorite channel. Apparently Alan and his wife, or Alan's wife is Kenyan, and they have been to a couple of places with Wild Earth. She gets very excited. Great show, and we can't wait to get back. So yes, Alan, there is probably, if you're lucky, a few spots left on some of the earlier safaris for next year with Wild Earth. So don't forget to head across to the Wild Earth website for Wild Earth travel and book your spot on another adventure with Wild Earth. So good to hear that you've already traveled with Wild Earth. And Alan, I would love to hear where you have traveled to with Wild Earth. So many awesome adventures waiting out there for us. Oh, it looks like our zebra is coming back. Shame, this poor male zebra is desperately trying to come in for a drink. But these elephants are hugging the waterhole. He looks like he's also missing a part of his tail. It does happen quite often. These zebras, either when fighting with one another, the males can get into quite vicious fights. They can end up biting each other's tails off, or while they are being chased or hunted by a predator like a lion, often they will try and grab onto the tail. So apparently, folks, Zimbabwe has won our poll. I sent a poll out earlier for which country would be the best country to go on a horseback safari, and apparently Zimbabwe came in at number 1, which is quite surprising. But I'm not surprised because, well, it's surprising, but I really thought Botswana was going to win. But yes, Zimbabwe is another great destination to go on a horseback safari. Let's see this elephant, folks. I don't know if anyone can recognize this big elephant bull. Have a look at those tusks. He's got very, very long tusks there. I don't know if anyone knows who this elephant could be. It's quite a big bull. I feel like it's not 1 ton, but who is he? I do have some photos or screenshots that I've taken of some of the tuskers here at the waterhole. So it's not, there's 2 males that have long tusks. It's a forklift and hooky, but I think we'll just pay attention and see. Maybe it could be forklift. So forklift, the big elephant bull, does have very long tusks like that. Other big males we can expect to see here is obviously the big elephant tusker, 1 ton. There's also a floppy-eared individual. There's a wonky tusk male, which you'll definitely notice that wonky tusk. There's another male called Twisty. He's got a very twisted, curved tusk as well. So, and then of course Lobolo, who's another one of our very big elephant tuskers we see coming through here. So Lobolo is a young elephant bull in Kenya, and apparently his 1 tusk that he lost was bigger than 1 ton's tusks. So yeah, unfortunate that he lost one of his tusks, but very special that he is still around. Sometimes it does happen that they can lose their tusks like that. And all of these elephants up to. It's always nice when you see these elephants together, so many bulls, and even if they're peaceful and calm, not too much fighting between them, just chasing away the zebra. So Mr. Hue has said, happy Cheetah Day. Oh, is it World Cheetah Day today? My goodness, happy Cheetah Day, Mr. Hue. Hope you have a great Cheetah Day. It's always great to raise awareness for these species. So I must go and do some posting on World Cheetah Day. So it's always good to raise awareness for these special species, especially cheetah, which is one of our most endangered predators in Africa. Oh, okay. Let's see this big guy. I don't think it is forklift. I'm just having a look at my photos here, and I've got a picture of forklift. Who is this elephant? He is a very, very big elephant bull. Look at those tusks. Talking about strange elephants, we also saw a very big elephant bull at Lintore this week. His tusks were not so impressive, but he had a huge body and very tatty ears. We've got a comment here from Sanjeev Roy. Sanjeev says viral 5-year-old female cheetah, originally from Tswalu, Southern Africa, has given birth to 2 healthy cubs. Oh, that is very, very exciting. To bring the cheetah population up to 32 individuals in Kuno National Park. So Kuno National Park is in India. Thank you, Sanjeev Roy, for that information. I didn't know they had cheetahs in India, so that's news to me. But yeah, thanks for that update. So they must have moved some of these cheetah across from South Africa, from Tswalu, all the way across to India to try and start a little cheetah population there, which these mini meta populations can be quite useful, especially for gene diversity, and in case a particular species becomes extinct in the wild, then you can always reintroduce these species back into South Africa. So very exciting news there. Thanks for the update, Sanjeev Roy. Alrighty, let's head back across to Lentor, see what else has come down to the waterhole. Ooh, looks like we've got some impala that have come down to the waterhole. Always lovely to see some different species here at Lentor. I love how there's some nice shade around this waterhole. It's a perfect little shady spot to come and drink. Some of the species that we can expect to see here at Lentor are, I mentioned some of the predatory nocturnal species, but there are sometimes you do see buffalo, you do get giraffe coming down to drink. We saw zebra earlier, you will get wildebeest. Occasionally, I think I've seen some warthogs coming for a mud wallow. We've of course got our regular visitors, the baboons and vervet monkeys, and then the nocturnal creatures, our genets, civets, leopard, amazing leopard sightings at this particular location, as well as caracal. But yeah, it's quite shallow. I wonder if there would be any hippos moving onto this waterhole. If they did, it wouldn't be for very long because there's not much water here. It's a shame. You can see in this particular area in Kenya, so in the Great Rift Valley, hasn't been too much rain. It's still quite dry. Not much food out there for these impala. So that's when, if there's not much food available, that's when you'll probably find these impala are quite adaptable to browsing as well. So they'll end up adapting to becoming mostly a mixed feeder in the dry season, where they'll also feed on dry leaves and seed pods in order to substitute their diet. This female looks like she's a bit pregnant, waiting for the rains to arrive in this area before she drops her little one. It's a shame. You can see there's not much grass there that she's trying to feed on, but if she can find any dry leaves, which of course have very low nutrition levels, very low moisture, that's why they'll often drink a lot more regularly during the dry season compared to the rainy season. So Sanjeev Roy was sending an update on our cheetah that have been reintroduced into India from South Africa. Apparently all the cheetah species are brought from South Africa and Namibia at 3 years of age. And there were 16 cheetah originally, and now the population stands at 32. So thank you so much, Sanjeev Roy, for giving us an update there on the cheetah population within Kuno National Park in India. You always learn new things every day. I had no idea they had cheetah in India, so very exciting to know that there has been a cheetah boom over in India. Melanistic Marble has sent through a comment about our elephants at Aldonio. Melanistic Marble says it's interesting how the bull ellies are back in numbers. They were away for a few weeks. So yeah, Melanistic Marble, you can see obviously the terrain is quite different. They've had a lot more rainfall over in Aldonio than this part of Kenya where we currently are here at Lentore, and sometimes that does mean that the elephants, bulls or even the breeding herds, they'll also move off to remote areas where there's food. Alrighty folks, why don't we head across to one of our locations in Namibia, see what's happening over at Safari Hook. We've got a breeding herd of elephants here with some little ones. A nice big elephant bull also on the right. We had an elephant bull here yesterday he just came down into the water and plonked himself into this little pan. Shame. I think it was quite a hot day. As you can see, we're talking about the rainfall. I can't believe we're already in December and the rains are here, but the rains have not arrived yet in Namibia. Oh, look, there's a little one lying on his side on the left. Ah, how cute. Shame. It's obviously been a hot day. These elephants have moved quite a distance in order to get here today, to come to the waterhole. So they're probably just in a resting phase. As soon as they get down to the waterhole, they've probably drunk quite a lot of water already, and now they're just very calmly and peacefully standing and resting in the water before they have to move off. We've still got our black stork. I don't know what's going on with this black stork. He seems to be a resident, but not too sure. He seems to be a lonely resident. He's normally here by himself. So Nadine's just given me a bit of information about Safari Hook and some activity that happened here this morning. Apparently there was a jackal, most likely a black-backed jackal, that either killed a springbok or was feeding on the kill of a springbok that maybe could have been killed by another predator. This little jackal fed on the springbok kill for a while before he dragged it off into the distance. So I guess there's always something happening out there. So if you want to stay connected to the Africam location, sometimes it is worth just leaving it to play on your TV as you're pottering around doing your daily errands, so that if there's any exciting sightings, you will be the first one to see what is happening out there. So yeah, very interesting to see some predator action here at Safari Hook. So this location here, Safari Hook, is located quite close to Etosha, private reserve in Namibia. Obviously, Etosha is one of the very famous reserves, private reserves in Namibia. Etosha is about 60,000 hectares, and it is adjacent to Safari Hook. So Safari Hook is quite close to Etosha, and Etosha is one of Namibia's top wildlife destinations. So Etosha and Safari Hook, this area we're watching right now, are situated in the northwestern part of Namibia, which provides stunning views of these open plains and rolling hills. Can find big five in this area, so besides our little jackal predator, you can also find lions, leopards, rhino, elephant, and buffalo. Of course, your plains game that you can see, besides your springbok, you can also find oryx. I've also seen impala here. Oh, look at this little elephant. He also decided that he's just gonna lie down and cool his body off in the mud. Always lovely watching these little creatures. Of course, Namibia is also a great place for photography, so if you are into your astrophotography, this is such a perfect place for photography, as well as incredible landscape views. So Namibia's clear night skies are perfect for your stargazing experiences. And this area in particular, Safari Hook, is quite committed to sustainable tourism as well as wildlife conservation. So they do quite a lot in order to support rhino conservation efforts, helping to protect these endangered species. Oh, look at this little guy. So we've got another comment from Alan. Alan says, apparently your wife has visited those places with her friends and family. She's been to Oldonyo and loads of other places. Apparently Alan's wife knew a few rangers and guides in Kenya, but your wife wants to know what's your favorite animal. So Alan and Alan's wife, my favorite animal, that is a hard one. My favorite predator is of course a leopard. And my favorite antelopes or other plains game species is a zebra. I'm a sucker for a zebra, especially little baby zebra. I can never get enough. So I'd love to hear from our viewers what their favorite animals are. What is your favorite predator? What is your favorite plains game species? I know lots of people love elephants. Yesterday we were chatting a lot about honey badgers. We actually had quite a cool poll going yesterday about which predator would win a fight between a honey badger and a Tasmanian devil. I think on all fronts the honey badger did definitely win. Honey badgers are quite relentless little creatures, but yeah, I know a lot of our viewers love lions. Elephants, of course, a big five are always a favorite amongst a lot of safari goers. Alrighty folks, why don't we head back across to Lentor, see what beautiful bird has just landed. So this is not the first time we have seen this lilac-breasted roller. I feel like he is probably a resident in this area. I think we spent, my goodness, early in the week, probably on Monday, I think we spent about 20 or 30 minutes watching this beautiful roller. Before I get into the lilac-breasted roller, we've got a comment from Juliet, says she loves impala. They have such beautiful markings and so graceful. So yes, Juliet, impalas are probably a good animal to have as your favorite animal because they're also very easy to find. I know Big James, when I was in Kenya, Big James's favorite animal is, of course, an elephant. And that's a very good favorite animal to have because there's so many elephants and impala around. So this lilac-breasted roller, we were watching him on Monday. I think it was Monday. And we're trying to see if he was going to make a kill for us. Lilac-breasted rollers have quite a variety of different foods that they feed on. My goodness, I've seen lilac-breasted rollers eating all kinds of things from scorpions to small snakes. They'll feed on little reptiles, insects. They love grasshoppers. I feel like that's probably the most commonly fed on food or prey species for these lilac-breasted rollers. And they will sit up on a perch, an elevated spot, for quite long periods at a time, scoping out, looking for any movement, and as soon as anything moves that's possibly a good prey species for them, they then flop down onto their prey and off they go. So they're very common in these open savannas as well as woodland and grassland areas across southern and eastern Africa. Have a look at those very long tail streams. It's got very long tail feathers. In some individuals, their tail feathers can grow up to 30 to 36 centimeters. Oh, he just lightened his load. So Nadine's asking quite a good question about the tail feathers of the lilac-breasted roller, and I think so lilac-breasted rollers, same as racket-tailed rollers, they seem to have their tail stream feathers throughout the year. It doesn't seem to hinder their ability to fly very well because they're not, I wouldn't say they're the most efficient flyers. Yes, the males have a very elaborate mating display in the mating season, but I don't think they actually lose their tails. So the roller family, or lilac-breasted rollers, their family gets their name from this aerial display. That is a courtship display with the males as well as territorial fighting. So the males will engage in these very elaborate territorial fights or rolling displays. See, look at those little streamers, little pins at the end of their tail there. And lilac-breasted rollers are famously known as a symbol of beauty and good luck in many African cultures across southern Africa. It's not from Zimbabwe, so I think it must be from South Africa and Zambia, where a lot of people believe that it's a symbol and sign of beauty and good luck. Have a look. Every time he tilts his head looking up like that, he's probably looking for any predators. Alrighty folks, there seemed to be some movement at Oldonyo, so let's head back across to Oldonyo, see what's happening in Kenya.
Even a hyena coming into the action as well now. Oh my word! She's stalking the hyena now. Leopard, hyena, lion, all together in one shot. Oh! Woo! This is action-packed.
Join our expert guides at dawn for a live, immersive safari as the bush comes to life.
Found ourselves a chameleon, and look how he's changed color.
Every sunrise brings new discoveries.
Pound for pound, a leopard is one of the strongest cats around.
Ask questions, share your thoughts, and connect with nature live and in real time.
Great excitement, great happiness.
Start your day with adventure.
Out here, every wild moment counts, and as a Wild Earth explorer, you will not miss out. Watch the Wild Earth channel ad-free 24/7, and you can even rewind if you have missed out on something. Enjoy the behind-the-scenes video clips as well as fireside chat, or get the early offers on our travel experiences. It's the best way to stay connected and be part of the Wild Earth family.
In general, these big elephant bulls can weigh anything between about 4,500 to 6,000 kilograms. So that's about 10,000 to 15,000 tons. That's for a big male. The big females, again, are weighing probably about maximum about 8,000 pounds or 3,600 kilograms. The males, because of their big heads, large tusks, they're much bigger than that of the females. And the height, at shoulder height, a big male, you're looking at about 3 to 4 meters or 10 to 13 feet. At shoulder height for a big male, and females is maximum about 3 meters or 3.5 meters or 8 to 11 feet. Just to give you a little bit of an idea on the size of these creatures. I know from here they might not look that tall, but even a big giraffe, you're also measuring this big male is probably going to be also around about 3 to 4 meters. So it's an incredible height if you think about it. You know, we don't always think that they are that big, but when you're on safari and an elephant comes right past the vehicle, you really do feel very, very small. And then to give you an idea, in one day, a big elephant bull can probably consume about 50 to 60 kilograms. So I weigh probably about 65 if I'm not lying. So imagine a big elephant bull consumes my body weight in a day. So if you just think about that, how crazy is that? So Johan is asking, that's a tusker. Johan, yes, I think that is a tusker, but I'm just wondering which tusker he was. So he had a much longer left tusk than his right tusk. I'll have to do some searching when we're done with the show through my screenshots. I think it could be one of our big tuskers. I'm just not quite sure as to which one. Alrighty folks, why don't we head across to Camelthorn over in Botswana and see what reptile we have waiting for us. Ooh, look what we have here. A crocodile, a sun basking in a nice little sunny spot. He looks like he was running away from something and then someone said freeze and then he just stopped. Have a look at his body posture. I wouldn't say that's a very comfortable place to stop in. Anyways, we're going to get back to some of our questions and comments. Loves Wild says apparently the lilac-breasted roller is one of her favorite birds, or one of her dad's favorite birds. I hope that, yeah, lovely. I'm not surprised. It's a very, very special bird, the lilac-breasted rollers. And Johan says the Ellie is huge. That Ellie, yes, that big elephant bull with his tusks was a very big specimen. I need to find out who he is. It's bothering me. Fuluwane has also sent through a comment. Good morning, Kerry. We are enjoying the program with my grandkids. Fuluwane, thank you for watching with your grandkids. There's always so much that we can learn. Oh, look at this crocodile. He is now moving. Giants of the water. Like modern day dinosaurs. Aren't they strange looking things, these crocodiles? So big male crocodiles, some of the record male crocodiles or big crocodiles was in Tanzania, measuring up to 23 feet. But yeah, this is quite a big male. I'd say around 18, 19 feet. I wonder where he's slinking away to, probably making his way back to the water. Melanistic Marble says it's hard to choose. I love all the cats, Ellies and giraffe. Impala too. Yes, Melanistic Marble, I do agree with you. It is very hard to choose one favorite species. This looks like quite an interesting little spot. You can see a rubbing post here from maybe some warthogs. Maybe our crocodile has decided that he's done his sun tanning for the day. He's going to make his way back to a water source. Got another question from Johan. Johan says, when does an elephant ID as a tusker? So Johan is generally his tuskers are very well known. Alrighty folks, let's head back across to Serandella for some birding. So we are here in Serandella in Thorny Bush, a game reserve, with a grey heron. It's quite a fluffy individual. Maybe he is in breeding plumage. You can see the herons often get very long feathers during the breeding season, normally on their breasts or chest, as well as sometimes on their rump. I think it's quite a windy day, so he's probably trying to get his head out of the wind and maybe have a bit of a cat nap, a mid-morning cat nap. So we had a question from Johan, was asking about when does an elephant ID as a tusker. So Johan, generally elephants will be considered as a tusker when they have these very large permanent tusks, usually in males, although there are some elephant tusker females, some very big elephant females with tusks too, although it's quite rare, I feel, for females to have long tusks, but there are some female elephants out there with tusks. So generally a tusker that has these long, thick, well-developed tusks, normally the males between 10 to 15 years old males start showing larger tusks. It shows that they have very good genes and genetics, and once they are noticed or known individuals, they might be classified as some of the famous elephant tuskers, and generally the age of these elephant bulls plays a big role in them being classified as tuskers. Normally some of these big tuskers are from 45 to 50 years of age. Some of the record ages of these elephant bulls have also been about 53 to 54. Look at this heron. I think he's standing on one leg, desperately trying to take a break from the wind. He's probably had quite a busy day wading in the water, looking for food. These herons will generally feed on fish, although they do enjoy a frog or insects from time to time, or any small little mammals. I know I've seen pictures of grey herons eating baby crocodiles. So everything can be considered a meal out there, depending on its size. Got some Egyptian geese also coming to join us. So these grey herons are solitary hunters, but they nest in colonies called heron. What? How do you? I don't know how to say this word. Heronries. So a heronry is a colony of herons all nesting together in a tree. That is a very strange word. It's so a heronry. You often get grey herons, your little squawker herons, cattle egrets. They'll all nest in these giant big colonies together. And it's a good way of protecting and defending each other. Can see these herons flying with their necks retracted in a bit of an S shape. That can help you identify them when they are in motion, when they're flying. Alright, why don't we head across to Lintore and see what interesting birds have arrived. Wow, check at this. Isn't this epic? We were just chatting about our barefaced go-away birds earlier and how excited I was when I saw my first barefaced go-away birds here when I was in Kenya, and they are a common bird to be seen around this waterhole. I played the call for you earlier of the go-away bird. It sounds very similar to the grey go-away bird that we know in southern Africa, but look how elaborately coloured these go-away birds are. I much prefer them than our go-away birds in southern Africa because they've got very prominent, so they've got that typical grey go-away bird colour, but their underbelly as well as their underbody is all white, and of course they have no feathers on their face, so they have this black face shield with a very prominent crest. And you can find these go-away birds very similar habitat to, so most go-away birds will occur in similar habitat, savannas, your dry woodland areas, riverine forests, and mainly they'll feed on fruits, seeds, flowers, and during this time of year they might also feed on leaves and buds because of the rainy season that is upon us. They're usually found in small groups, normally between 3 to 6 individuals. Aren't they pretty? My goodness, I never got a decent photo of these bare-faced go-away birds, but they are quite pretty little birds. So I'll play the call for you again here. interesting variety of calls that they have. So you can see this this one on the left is very active. I feel like the other individuals in this group are going through their midday snoozy mode, whereas this one on the left he's busy cleaning himself, preening. He's also estivating, and that's the way birds cool themselves down. So he is opening his bill. See his little gula flap there is busy flapping away. It's obviously a hot day over in Nantore, so he's trying to cool himself down. Have a look at him flapping away. So birds don't sweat like us humans do, and that's it's a great way to cool themselves down. Besides obviously having a nice little swim or a splash in the water, they will estivate or gula flap. We've got a question here from a computer enthusiast is asking, these animals are meant to move forwards, not backwards. Have I ever seen a bird flying backwards? So computer enthusiast, generally birds fly forwards. I think even us humans in life, it's always great to look ahead, move forward, not move backwards. But birds in extremely rare cases can move backwards or fly backwards. I'd say hummingbirds. Hummingbirds are probably the exception to the rule of a bird that can hover and even fly backwards in some instances. But generally most birds will glide from side to side or hover from side to side or hover over their prey. The hummingbird is able to fly backwards. These go-away birds, I won't say they're extremely acrobatic. They mostly just fly from one area to the other while feeding. So they're not the most acrobatic birds. So we've got a comment from Suni. Suni says, hi Kerry, how many parrot species do you have in southern Africa? So Suni, I think we probably have quite a large amount of parrot species. I would say native species to southern Africa, there's at least 4 to 5 different native parrot species, but we do unfortunately have a few exotic species in southern Africa. So like for example here in Johannesburg, I know if you go closer to Pretoria or some areas like Rand Park Ridge, Randburg area, there are some Indian ringnecks. I don't think they're supposed to be around, but there are quite a few big flocks of Indian ringnecks that do fly around. But those would be exotic species that have probably been released and now started doing quite well in the urban areas. So Mr. Elemental says, Kerry, is all their skin black or just their face? I thought it was black feathers. So Mr. Elemental, I think all of their skin is mostly black, and of course because the face is absent of feathers, that's why you can see that very prominent bare black face of theirs. They do have quite a snazzy, cool little crest as well. Look at that little grey crest. Again, lots of white on the underbelly, white neck, and then they've got a spunky little grey crest. It's very cool watching these birds grooming themselves. Look at this one on the right. He's grooming his leg. He's got his leg extended out, making sure all of his feathers are clean. Birds do need to spend a lot of time grooming and preening themselves, making sure their feathers are in good condition, otherwise it will hinder their ability to fly. So a bird that is in poor health or not in great condition, that's generally the first sign you'll see that their feathers start to become very poorly looking. They don't look like they're in great condition. And once they are not able to groom themselves very well, eventually it will also hinder their ability to fly. Look at these guys, isn't that cool? They have what's known as an oil preen gland. So have a look at this barefaced go-away bird on the right. At the base of their tail, they have a little oil preening gland, which they get oil from and coat it over their feathers, and that's what helps to keep their feathers in very good condition. It's kind of like us humans, ladies need to do our hair masks and kind of hair treatments. It's very similar, but these go-away most birds have their own little hair treatment glands on their bodies. Isn't that amazing? feel like they're checking us out, wondering what is happening there. Alrighty folks, why don't we head across to Founders Lodge, see what else is happening. So we're back here in Founders Lodge in South Africa, and our rhinos have been resident at this waterhole most of the day. It's lovely to always see these rhinos. Looks like the heat is getting the better of them. They've decided to cool themselves down in this waterhole, and we've also got our family of Egyptian geese. These young Egyptian geese have grown quite quickly. I think we saw the same family when these little Egyptian geese were quite small, so they've grown very quickly. Amazing how quick they grow. Just within a few months they've already almost have their full adult colors. See, this Gyppo is dabbling, trying to get some food. So Egyptian geese will feed on aquatic algae, aquatic plants, as well as seeds. So you can often see them roaming around in the grassland area feeding on seeds. Nkosi was asking about our barefaced go-away birds. Yes, Nkosi, they were grooming themselves. Birds do spend a lot of time every day grooming themselves. Ah, check it out. Isn't this a lovely scene? Probably building up a little bit of wind here in the Eastern Cape, although there's not much clouds or cloud cover in the sky, so it looks like it's going to be quite a nice hot day. So these white rhinos are the largest rhino species native to southern Africa, and of course the white or wide comes from the Dutch word wide, referring to their wide square-shaped lips, which, as I mentioned earlier, is an adaptation for their feeding mechanism. So it's to help them to be able to feed in these open grassland areas, as opposed to our black rhino that are browsers, and they have a pointy lip. And that pointy lip helps them to be able to grab and manipulate vegetation with this almost prehensile lip of theirs, so that they can feed with ease. So we've got a question from Free Spirit. Free Spirit says, I watched this cam and have noticed one of the baby geese is a tad larger than the other two. Free Spirit, interesting question. I'm not too sure. Maybe they're from a different litter or different little hatchlings. Maybe they are more than one family group here. But yeah, it's very interesting to know. We'll have a look. So I'll look and see how many parents there are. So it's good to look to see how many adults there are. Then you can get an idea. Maybe there's a different family group in the area, so they might actually be from separate hatching periods. These rhinos look very comfortable. Look at these Egyptian geese busy feeding. So you can see the adults have that prominent dark ring. These Egyptian geese have a dark ring around their eyes. So these juveniles are not quite fully developed yet. Got a question from Spas Inkov is asking, Kerry, do you know when Egyptian geese begin molting their feathers? So yeah, Egyptian geese normally hatch and they are this almost bright yellow color, and they'll molt. They have different molting periods, but generally they will start getting their full adults plumage at about 6 to 8 weeks is when they would be completely molted of their little gosling fledge or feathers, and they start to develop their adult colors at about 6 to 8 weeks, and normally by about 3 to 4 months, that's when they have completed their transition or molting phase and have their full adult colors. The full adult colors should be in by about 12 months. There's kind of a few different cycles that they go through in order to develop their full colors. They lose their chick feathers at about 6 weeks. 3 months they start developing their adult colors, and by 6 to 12 months they should be almost completely completed in their development phase. Alrighty, let's head back across to Safari Hook in Namibia and see what's happening in another part of Africa. Oh, our elephants are still here. Oh, it is so great to see elephant herds together. I don't often see elephant breeding herds here. Same at Tembe, mostly the elephant bulls come through. But yeah, so it's always lovely to see elephant breeding herds, so you can see these little ones playing and interacting with each other. We've got some comments here from Lady Mac. Says white rhino is the largest rhino species and the largest terrestrial mammal after elephants. So yes, Lady Mac, you are 100% correct there. So white rhinos are much bigger than your black rhinos. So however, the elephants are the largest terrestrial mammal, followed by the white rhino. Which white rhinos can weigh up to 2,000 kilograms or 5,000 pounds. And then next would probably be your hippo. Hippos are also quite large. Big hippo can weigh between 800 to 1,200 kilograms. So hippos are also quite large. So Erica Oldno sent a comment. Thank you so much, Kerry and FC. Erica, thank you for joining us again today. I hope your weather in Cape Town is sunny, not too windy. I've got another question from Lady Mac. Says likely different fathers. Most birds are social monogamous rather than actually so. So very good observation there, Lady Macbeth, with our Egyptian geese. Little clutch. So if the clutches, so if you have one clutch of eggs and you get different sizes hatching at the same time, that would probably be quite a good explanation, as the female might have mated with more than one male. Although generally Egyptian geese do form monogamous pairs, in some rare cases maybe the female could have mated with another male. Look at these elephant balls. They're just in the water cooling themselves down. So we've got some more comments from Joanne Milo and Johan saying thank you for today's live at the waterhole. Johan says, why is live at the waterhole just 2 hours? It's too short. Oh yes, Johan, I know time does fly quite quickly, especially when you're having a good time. But we still have a few more minutes of the show, so we're going to take in as much as we can. Got some elephants that have, not just elephants, what are these things? Zebra. Got some zebra that have come down. We did see ostrich earlier in the week here, so it's quite cool to see ostrich at Safari Hook. And a solitary male oryx that looks like he's missing one of his horns. Shame, poor boy. So it does happen quite often that these oryx do break their horns, maybe when the males are fighting with one another. They do stand a chance of breaking their horns off. Unfortunately, it might hinder their ability to fight off predators. So have a look at these elephant bulls and their tusks. So I find in Namibia, because of the very hot climate, hot weather, these elephants' tusks do break quite a lot. Alrighty folks, while we are looking at elephants, let's head across to Tembe Elephant Park and see what those elephants are up to in South Africa. Oh my goodness. Look at these elephants. I'm guessing this elephant that's lying down on this little bank here in between these two puddles probably had a very itchy belly. Oh. So this looks like a very small breeding herd. The matriarch is the furthest female, the biggest individual. And look at them, they are having such a good time playing in the mud. Shannon's matriarch looks like she's quite an old girl. And it would probably be her daughter and then her granddaughter. So 3 generations of elephants right here, having a little bit of a mud bath. Oh, looks like our matriarch's also going down onto her side. I think she probably has an itchy body too. Oh my goodness, look at this. I hope that she is going to be able to get up from here. They are not the most elegant creatures when they're down on their sides, these elephants. I hope this female knows what she's doing. We had an elephant early in the week that also, I thought it was stuck. At first we thought it was just resting in the mud, but then after a while I realized, oh my gosh, I don't think this elephant can actually get up. But yeah, when elephants go down onto their sides, they do need to be quite careful because they're not the most agile creatures, especially when on their side. That wasn't a very elegant dismount, as we would say. She just like rolled over and So we've got a comment from Laban from Uganda. It says, thanks for the great work. Laban is asking, is that water fresh water or saline? So this is fresh water, Laban. Tembe Elephant Park is not too far from the coast. So it is in part of a coastal region, but they're still quite a few, I'd say a few hundred kilometers away from the ocean. But they do get a lot of, I feel like that ocean water does sometimes blow across. It does make the climate in this area, they do receive lots of rainfall, so it could be a bit of maybe because of the atabatic or katabatic winds, or the winds coming off the ocean does push a lot of the rain towards this region. But this is mostly clean, fresh water. A lot of these waterholes are pumped, so in the dry, arid inland regions within Africa, some of these animals really struggle with water through the dry season, so that's why some of these waterholes are pumped. I think if I was that female elephant, I'd be feeling quite embarrassed with myself right now if I knew that there were so many people watching, because that was not a very elegant roll about in the mud. Oh, look at this female. What is she up to? It's a very special time of the year right now. The elephants have an all-you-can-eat buffet. I mean, in the dry season, there's really not much food out there for the elephants, but in the green season, the elephants will spend a lot of time feeding on even grass because there's just an abundance of food. So I have a question from Picasso. Picasso's asking, how often do elephants get a toothache? So elephants rarely get toothaches, Picasso, unlike us humans, because of the structure of their teeth. So elephants have 6 sets of teeth, in some very rare cases maybe 7 sets of teeth. They have 3 on each side of the upper and lower jaws. They have molars, which do grow and wear down over time, especially when they have to feed on very coarse vegetation. Oh, look at these 3 youngsters playing. Oh, such playful little characters. So it is rare for elephants to get toothache. The more chances I feel like elephants have toothache is if their tusks break off too short and affect the nerve. That's probably when elephants will get a nasty toothache. And then elephants with a toothache, they can be quite grumpy individuals, so do watch out for the elephants. So even though they suffer from these toothaches rarely, when it does happen, they do really suffer. But generally, elephants don't get as many toothaches as us humans would get. So most elephants replace a molar every 10 to 15 years, and the problem does usually occur when they wear down their last set of teeth. So between the age of 50, once elephants hit 50, that's generally when they're on their last set of teeth. These elephants are chasing the Egyptian geese. And once they've worn down to their last set of teeth, and once that last set is finished, then normally that's when their lifespan will probably start coming to an end. They won't be able to feed as well as they used to, so they might end up dying of starvation unless they die from other natural causes. Look at this matriarch on the left. She's got very long, thin tusks. It's very common in female elephants to have much longer, thin tusks than that of the males. They don't use their tusks as much as male elephants do for fighting, for example. It looks like one big elephant breeding herd, and then you've got these two bachelor bulls that are just doing their own thing. Alrighty folks, we've got some different large creatures that have arrived at the water of Aldonio, so let's head back to Aldonio and see what's happening. Wow, check at all of these giraffes. So once the elephants have left the waterhole, it does give a lot of opportunity for the giraffe to then come down to drink. Because when the elephants, there were 6 elephants at this waterhole earlier, there was no space for these giraffes to come down and drink. One of the big bulls even chased the giraffe away. So yeah, competition for resource is quite a big problem in the natural world. So I'm looking here, it looks like we've got mostly males. Alright folks, there's a bit of activity at Lentor, so let's head across there and see what's happening. So we had some squirrels here, probably our ground squirrel. We saw one of them earlier, and it looked like there was a bit of a fight club about to break up. It was about to begin. So let's see where these squirrels. Okay, I can see one squirrel on the far right, and I thought I saw some movement on the left side of this tree, but we'll keep our eyes open and see what these little squirrels are up to. So squirrels are very territorial, especially if there's an area, like if their territory, if they have a tree, as I mentioned, they like to cache or stash their food. So if there is an intruder close to where their little food stashing pantry is, then they do become quite aggressive. Very cute little character-filled creatures, these squirrels. So the males will vocalize for the females, often followed by a very repetitive flicking of the tail. So it's a bit of a mating display that the males do for the females, and often it can sound like a bird chirping. Still got our red-billed waxbills, maybe some little African waxbills down there. Could be some weavers. Where are these squirrels? What are they up to? Oh, what is this? Oh, white-browed sparrow weaver. Hello. Haven't seen a white-browed sparrow weaver down at the waterhole for a while, but they do have some giant nests that they have been making just off to the right. Got some comments coming through. Peter says, thanks Kerry and Wild Earth for a great show. And Corsi is asking about elephant teeth. And Corsi, as I mentioned, elephant have 6 sets of teeth. Mindy says, not that I think anyone should own an animal, but a giraffe could be a good friend. Have a good day, folks. We will see you tomorrow.